Hi everyone. I still haven't had my jab, the COVID-19 vaccine jab. The reason I'm not that enthusiastic about it is that I had the disease. Back in December, I had COVID-19 for a week. Those of you who've been following me since then know that. And I'm one of millions, tens of millions of people who've had it, hundreds of millions of people all over the world. And so I'm immune. And so many other people are naturally immune to this disease, of course, like any virus that you get, and now to get this new vaccine passport or COVID passport or COVID certificate or whatever they're calling it in different countries, you need to have gotten the jab twice, I think, or take a PCR test just prior to traveling, or having had the disease, but not further back than 6 months. Not further back than 6 months from the day that you want to travel. And the reason they have this rule, and it's not even in place yet, I think it's not possible until at the earliest, the middle of August, at least here in Sweden, to travel with this certificate without having taken the vaccine, but having had the disease. As I said, no earlier than 6 months before the date that you're traveling. That's gonna start working mid-August. And the reason why they've taken that, they've chosen that time frame, that time span, 6 months, is just because the disease is new and the decision makers haven't been able to assess properly for how long this immunity lasts. But of course it lasts longer than 6 months. Every natural immunity does. And now I heard just the other day that there is a big study being done, a longitudinal study being done at one of the biggest hospitals in Sweden, where they now can state that the natural immunity from having had the disease is still strong after 12 months. The first partial study they came out with showed that immunity was strong after 6 months and then after 9 months, and now it's just because time passes, so they can assess the immunity over longer periods of time. So now they know that it's still strong after 12 months. So I think it's just stupid that they decide these things. And I'm not. Of course, it's nature. Nature is just as good, if not better, than human science. I think it's good. I think we should trust nature here, and decision makers don't trust nature. That's obvious. It's not that I'm particularly, not particularly, I'm not afraid of taking the jab, taking the vaccine. I have had probably about 50 jabs over the course of my life. I've traveled a lot. I've been to the tropics many times since I was a kid. So I don't know how many vaccines I've taken. My body's full of vaccines, but I'm thinking more and more that I shouldn't take it if it's not completely necessary. Why should I take the vaccine if it's not completely necessary? I had the disease. I am naturally immune, so it's more the principle, the principle that how can they demand from me that I take it in order for me to be able to travel? I can understand it more if it's a disease that is a true killer, like yellow fever or whatever. Anyway, and this certificate thing, this passport thing, is a little bit like dividing people into first and second grade citizens, first and second grade people. It's similar to when people come from other countries outside of in my case, from outside of the European Union, immigrants from let's say Iraq or Syria. Let's say there is a person fleeing from Syria with very high skills, highly trained person. Let's say you're brain surgeon from Damascus arriving here in Sweden, then still the Swedish authorities won't recognize your education, your training. Although you're a brain surgeon, you've been working as a brain surgeon for 10 or 15 years in Damascus, here it's no good, you know. No, you have to have a Swedish education or a European Union standard education in order for you to work with what you know best. So here you have to drive taxis or whatever. It's a little bit like that, you know. We who've had the disease, who are naturally immune, we are not trusted with not spreading the disease. So they demand we take the jab, we take the vaccine. And I will wait a little bit more here to see what happens. I'm not going to travel abroad this summer. I'm going to places within Sweden, so I'm good. But I guess in the fall or in the winter, I will feel like traveling. At some point, I will want to do that, and so I'll just see what happens. If these rules are still in place and they haven't changed them or haven't eased them up a little bit, I'll probably get the jab, you know. So it's more the principle. So why take the jab when you've had the disease and are naturally immune? That's my message today. Have a nice week. Bye-bye.